Talk about Batra Daf, Kof Amud Aleph, 2 lines down. How come the owner in our Mishnah couldn't, when he made the new path, if he couldn't get the new one, he couldn't get his old one back, maybe he should get the new one back. No, he should tell the public. Fine, take the original one back, and I'm gonna take the new one back. So take the old one, no problem. Ignore what I did. Everything returned back to normal. How come he loses both? Hamani Zahu according to Rabbi Lezer, according to Rabbi Lezer. I'm telling you, Rabbi Lezer. Rabbi when a public chooses the path for themselves, it's automatically chosen. You can't retract. Where it says Rabbi Lezer, according to Lezer, Rabbi Lezer, people are stealing it. How's that possible? It's referring to the case where they had an original path, they got washed away, whatever it is, and they made a new one. And when they make their own one, if it passes through your property, tough luck. Yeah, that's the case. If that's the case, how come we don't not like post like Rabbi Eliezer that doesn't work? The Gemara says, two ways of Rav's, two halachot of Rav. One way of Rav is saying through Rav Gida that Rabbi Eliezer holds that it's only when you originally had a path, and one did not say that. So 2 ways of learning Rav about how public people can establish or reestablish a path for themselves. How come our Mishnah holds that you can't take back the new path? Once the public people have a shortcut, basically, you can't ruin it. How do people acquire it, right? So you think, oh, once the people acquire it, the public acquires your land as the path, you can't retract. What's considered acquisition? Where it says, by walking. The Tanya writes, it says, someone walks alongside the length and width of a field, you acquire that space. Walking doesn't do anything. You have to do an act like breaking something or planting something. Where it says, my time of the how come the Bezer holds that you could walk? Hashem told Abraham, walk around the land of Eretz Israel, and that's what will be given to you. So we see walking is good enough. But Abraham, how come Hachamim don't hold like that? The Gemara says, Mishum Havut Abraham Hu Dekam Alech, Kadesh Yaneh Noach Lechvosh Lechnei Banav. So they said, Hachamim said that's not a good proof from the pasuk. Hashem was just telling Abraham, walk there. In that way, Bnei Israel will now have a claim to the land that it belongs to them, but that's not a normal way of an acquisition for a field. Regarding to a path of vineyards, since it's specifically meant for walking, you can acquire by walking because that is what its use is for. They asked the question, statement. They said, when you're selling something to a buyer, you have to give the buyer a path wide enough that he can carry branches on his shoulders and turn with all in directions without branches hitting anything. Lemon only applies that's only when there's walls. There's no walls there that there's nothing stopping him from holding branches and walking around. It's just like small enough to have a path to walk around. Next. It's not said private path is 4 amot. The Hanabra says, say, must be wide enough that a donkey can pass with his load. Maravuna, like them. The judges of the Golah say, however, the width of a private path has to be 2.5 gamadim, which is a type of amot. Like them. So what do you mean? How can you have say that halachas like both of them if they seemingly gave 2 different measurements, 4 amot and 2.5 gamadim? The Gemara says that both of them, the donkey measurement and the 2.5 gamadim are the same thing. The path of a public is 16 amot. Tanabanan. The private path is 4 amot. And the path between one city and another is 8 amot. Derech harabim, public path, 16 amot is 16 amot. Derech Arei Miklat, the path for the city of Arei Miklat, which is someone killed by accident, he has to stay in refuge in the city. The path has to be 32 amot, so it's very easy access. Maravuna, how do we know Markada? The pasuk says Tachin decha had derech. Derech had derech. He added a he. The he teaches you has to be a very large, easy path. Next, derech hamelech in shiur. The path of a king has no limits. We said shemelech poretz gader la'asot al derech ve'en mamachim biyado usim masechet Sanhedrin. The king can break through fences and properties and walk as he wants. Derech hakever in shiur. Also, the path for a grave has no limits. For a funeral, mishum yekara deshachva, for the honor of the dead, you should not limit the path. Ha'amad. We said ma'amad earlier, but now we're going to explain it finally. Dayanan sipur amru arbat arba'a kabin. The judges of Tzipor is 4 kav. So what is it? Someone selling the burial plot. The path for the plot. The area for the ma'amad cemetery ceremony. What time that is? Ubet has been on the site for the eulogy, the place where they're going to do eulogy. The members of his family can come after the death and bury him there. Even though the guy sold that place, they could still bury him there and obviously refund because mishum pigam mishpacha, because otherwise it might be an insult to the family if he's not buried with the rest of his kin. Here we're talking about ma'amad finally. We don't do less than 7 standing and sitting for a dead person. So the ma'amad is they used to walk with the coffin, and they used to sit down, comfort the mourners, stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down, keep 7 times. Because the pasuk says Havel Havalim Hevel Havalim Hakol Havel. It says Hevel, total of 7 times, including the plural times. So it'll teach you that 7 times is that this world is all about futile. Don't let these things bother you. It's not. Don't let the non-important things control your life. And that's where we get the number 7 from. What do we do? It says, in the first city, kingdom of Yehuda, they would do 7 times. They would say, dear ones stand. Sit ones, sit, dear ones sit. Right? And between each time they would start comforting the mourners. That's the case. You could also do it on Shabbat. But that's all it is. The Gemara says, the sister of Rav Papa was married to Rav Avia. And she passed away. So it was Rav Avia's sister-in-law. Rav Avia did this tribute up and down, sitting up and down. Amar Yosef, you made 2 mistakes. You made first mistake. You only do that for relatives. And you're doing it with non-relatives. Without this mistake, you only do it on the first day of the burial. He did it after the burial. Another mistake. You only do it in the cemetery. You did it in the city. Says another mistake. You only do it in a place where there's a custom to it. Over there, there's no custom. My thing of the question, I said to Rabbi can you allowed to do it on Shabbat? We just said it 2 minutes ago. If the only time you could do this is by the cemetery on the first day of burial, who's in the cemetery? Who's burying people on the first day? How would you possibly do this ma'amad ceremony on Shabbat? The Gemara says, in a case where the city is next to the cemetery, they bury him right before Shabbat starts, then in that scenario, you would be able to make the cemetery, the Mamadot in that cemetery on that day.